All right, welcome to Comic Book Radio. Welcome. I'm your host, Peter Cimetti, and tonight we have Hosting the Hosts, episode 6. My guest is Matt Burke from Metal Movies and BREWSKYS. If you're not familiar with Metal Movies and BREWSKYS and Matt Burke, first of all, what's wrong with you? Second of all, you'll become familiar tonight. Let's get a little music on here right before our guest arrives. And let's say hello to you in the chat. We've got Buddha Bear. What's up, Buddha Bear? Hope you're doing well. It says over 300% liked. What's that? Yang, what's up, Yang? Hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining us tonight. J.R. Exner, what's up? Says that Bruce Lee dropping water knowledge like he's a toilet at closing time. You got that right. Just boom, flush. Jeff Kimbler, hey, how you doing? Exactly. Yeah, go ahead. Lick the like button. Lick it. Tap it. Smash it. Destroy it. Gently pet it. Whatever you want to do, just make sure you like and subscribe. Cole King, what's up? It says, long time no see, brother. You're telling me. You're going to see enough of me this weekend. You're going to be like, I never want to see that Pete guy again. All right. Without further ado, let's bring on the man of the hour, Mr. Matt Burke. What's up, Matt?
What's up, Pete? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Today is quite the day.
Right.
And I'm glad you could join me tonight.
Oh, thanks for having me. Pretty big day for you.
Yeah, it's been quite the day. For those that don't know what I'm talking about, we got King Cryptid number 5 to 9 launched today. And you guys have overloaded the website, the Alterna site, so much that even though you can access the site, I can't access the back end of it. So I can't update the site. I got to manually go in there and update the backers and the total raised, and I haven't been able to do that since like 245. So thank you guys for your overwhelming support on this. Holy smokes. But this show is not about me tonight. It is about Mr. Matt Burke. And again, if you guys haven't ever had a chance to take a look at Matt's channel, he's got some great videos on there. He does some awesome comic reviews. I think you're fair, you're firm, and you're... I don't want to necessarily say that it's a show when you do your reviews that it's so impartial that it's boring. But you bring excitement to it without coming across like a shill. You know what I mean?
It's a fine line to walk.
Yeah. So you do a great job with that, but then you also have people on your show. I've been on it. It was a blast. You've had a lot of different guests on your show as well, and it's great. And so I really want to talk to you tonight about that. Let's see here. Terra Wombat says, almost back to Indiegogo. You should have a new email with the Alterna site link. We did. I put one out there. Was it the same link twice?
I know yours on Twitter. There's two different ones because on my lunch break I hit them both up just to.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, dude, Pete did. He did 2 campaigns.
I wonder if it. I wonder if it copied over and it didn't change the link. Okay. Well, good. Thank you for letting me know, Terra Wombat, and I will do that. I'll send that out tonight. It gives me another excuse to slowly creep into the emails. But Matt, so you've had this YouTube channel now for how long?
I think just about 2 years.
2 years. Okay, wow. What was the main purpose of that? What did you set out to accomplish? What that fateful day when you started up that channel?
I just thought it would have been a cool idea because I wanted to basically make comics, and I thought that this would be a cool way to kind of show people like what I liked a lot, and maybe they can catch my book as well, and my art or what have you. That was the main focus of why I did it. And I did studies on YouTube. I didn't really watch YouTube. I wasn't really into YouTube prior to a few years ago. I mean, maybe 6 years ago, I was looking at comic books, like panel by panel. I don't know if you remember that YouTube channel. It was really cool how he breaks down the panels. He's no longer around anymore doing it, but was looking at that, just how to draw videos, and just trying to see like what I could find, and I came upon Billy Tucci's crowdfunding comics. Saw a lot of different people on there. I was like, oh, this is cool. And then I was just looking for like how to draw videos, and I came upon Ethan Van Sciver. I never even knew who he was, and I saw his tutorials, and I was like, damn, this guy's pretty good. And like, you know, he's drawing on there with blue line and just comes right in there like fearless. So I thought that was cool. And then I was studying YouTube and trying to figure out, you know, they say pick 3 things that you like, and then pick one of those things and make that your main focus for your YouTube channel. But I couldn't do that because I like metal, movies, and brewskis, and I like comics. So I got 4 things. So it's kind of a hard thing, and it's screwing with the algorithm when you're doing that. But it just that's me. That's always who I've been. You know, I may not drink as much brew as I used to, but I'm still, you know, doing it. But that's what brought me to it, man. At the end of the day, I love making comic books, and I'm, you know, I'm a late starter, but that's what I do.
Yeah, I mean, the algorithm is the algorithm. It's really difficult to figure it out. There's videos that I put on YouTube years ago that I'm like, how did that get 7,000 views? I barely shared that anywhere. You know, and then now you're like, oh, this one's it. This is a good video. And it's like 125 views.
Right. Yeah, you really never know. Like I was doing I did a couple Spawn reviews, and Spawn 300 came out, and then boom, a lot of people saw that, and then I guess Spawn and Batman were pretty big. And I remember he was toying with the idea of having multiple characters in a Spawn verse, right? And I have a bunch of Spawn toys from the 90s. I still got them in the garage, and I was like, man, you know, he should open up this universe and have a different, you know, like a Ninja Spawn book, a Pirate Spawn book, a Viking Spawn book every month. And he kind of started doing that like a couple years later. You know, I was like, this is pretty cool, you know. So that video kind of blew up pretty good.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty awesome. I mean, you know, so it's stuff like that when you're making a YouTube channel. I think, at least I feel this way, that you should always be true to what it is you want to talk about. You know, if you're trying to, and please feel free to disagree if you don't agree with this, but I think if you're trying to constantly chase the trend, if you're constantly trying to be someone you're not, if you're trying to do things that you're really not that into, but you think it'll get views, I think that stuff catches up with you.
Well, I think it's a lot like a lie. I do agree with you. I think it's a lot like a lie. Like no matter if it's big or small, it's always going to catch up to you. You're maybe 80 years, but you will that lie will come up. It's going to happen like 99% of the time. So I think if you're kind of lying to yourself, you're lying to the person that's watching on a primal level. They're picking up on that, and they're like, there's just something I'm not feeling. You know what I mean? I'm not really digging this. So I agree with you.
Absolutely. It's honestly why, and I guess maybe it works for some people, but there's so many people out there. I see that they get a ton of views, but I watch the video and I can't make it past a minute or two because I'm like, I can't believe anything this person's saying. You know, I'm like, what's wrong with all you?
Right.
You know, and it's so that steered me away from YouTube for the longest time because I'm like, I'm not going to go on there and do like the rapid fire I am a robot delivery. You know what I mean? That's just not me. And I was like, I don't fit in with YouTube. I don't have like the slick presentation. I don't have that. Yeah, all of that, you know, the dual lighting, the camera that'll focus on me, but like
it's almost a genre now in a way. It's,
you know,
just like a set that you wheel in, you know, like from like Hammer or like Universal, you know, you wheel in the like the figures and the blue lighting and everything, and like the fucking whatever's, sorry, pardon my French, all the stuff on the wall, like I don't know.
Yeah, cool, like this is, you know, what you see is what you get, and you know, love it or leave it, you know what I mean? And so when it came to that kind of thing, I was really reluctant to start a YouTube channel in general because I was like, I'm just not a YouTuber. But then, like you said, it was a similar thing. I see all these other people doing these things, and they're being them, and they're just being whoever they are, you know. And I was like, maybe I'll do that. So what was that turning point for you where you started this off as a vehicle to almost kind of be another arm of promotion for you to get yourself out there? 100%. When did you start incorporating the fact that you would invite guests onto the show?
That was I had switched careers, and that was about just a few months ago. Like I think it was in October, and I saw a post because I'm Comicsgate, and I seen a post by John Malin, and he was saying, you know, there should be more people like promoting other people, and I thought, this might be a good opportunity. I had a little window of opportunity. So I opened up the show, and I had always thought about doing a show where I had people on, and I could talk about that person, what their things that they like, their hobbies, what their whole process is. I like to know about the way they create their books. That fascinates me. And just chill and have a beer or whatever, you know what I mean? So that was very, it wasn't that long ago. I had just taken a hiatus probably for about a month or two right now, but I'm going to kick it back up again pretty soon. So, yeah, that was it, man. I had thought about it before, but again, I was just like, nah, I don't have the cool backdrop. I don't have the, the sexy lighting and the cool mic and all that. But I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to do it. You know what I mean? So, yeah. And it's been working out pretty cool ever since.
That's great. Yeah, because it's one thing to go, I'm going to make a video. I don't know who's going to watch this. But then there's another thing to say to somebody else out there, and especially if it's sometimes, because you've had some pretty cool guests on. Yeah. And it's different to then take that mentality and then go, you want to be on the show with me and talk to me about your book and whatever. So that's a whole other level. But it's so awesome right now to see so many people of varying degrees of comicdom being willing and able to do stuff like this. Because when I was growing up reading comics, if you saw an interview ever with a comic creator, it was like a unicorn. It was rare, especially if it wasn't Stan Lee. It was almost impossible.
Yeah,
totally, you're like, man. Oh my god, there's people and they talk.
Steve Ditko?
Yeah, yeah, right. So it was really rare to see that kind of a thing. The only time maybe if you go to a convention, but you wouldn't really see like videos and whatever interviews and that kind of a thing. That was strange. I think maybe around because the Image guys were a little, especially Todd McFarlane, were so much more outgoing, or at least like that's how they appeared to be.
Rock stars.
Yeah, it kind of signaled the start of something new in terms of like, no, you gotta be your hype man, which I think the whole industry should have done. They shouldn't have just let Stan Lee essentially try to sell all of the comics business. Everyone could have done that in some way, shape, or form. So for whatever reason, it is what it is. But I love seeing the fact that you've got this channel, you got other people on there, they're coming on there and they're having these interviews. Now, when you're doing these kinds of interviews, you kind of touched upon it earlier that you're fascinated by the creative process, by these people and what they're doing. Has that always been a part of something that's in your nature, like the desire to learn and be fascinated by that?
Yeah, because I'm always trying to, like, say if I go into a new industry or something, I try to learn as much as I can. But with comics, that would be my dream. You know what I mean? Pardon me. So if I'm having people on and it's someone that I like their style, you know what I mean? I get a chance to ask them like, what do they use? What kind of tools do they use? What's their creative process? How do they come up with the story? Do they use thumbnails? Do they go digital? Do they do traditional? What do they do when they get writer's block? What do they do when they get artist block? And I've actually learned things from people like coming on that's actually beneficial to me. They're just like little nuggets that I take, so I've been lucky that way, I guess.
That's awesome. Yeah, and for those that don't know, Hosting the Host, it's a subset of comic book radio, but on this, what I'm doing is I'm basically interviewing interviewers. And the biggest reason that I feel the need that this is so important is because there are so many people nowadays making comics, and they're trying to get out there, and they're trying to utilize YouTube as well. But not many people know quality shows to go on or approach anybody to be on there. So I've been on a bunch, and I figured, let me talk to the people who I really enjoyed being on their show and have them on mine, so that hopefully if people ever are curious or they don't know where to go, I can just put the playlist up and point to it and go watch all those and go talk to these people. And Matt, of course, being one of these people, because I really enjoyed my time on your show.
Yeah, me too,
yeah, and seriously, thank you for having me on it, and I look forward to being on it one day again.
For sure.
Now, okay, so you've got the channel, you've got everything else. You mentioned that you also do your own comic as well. So let's give a little bit of time to that, because again, on Hosting the Hosts, a lot of the times the people who are on here, not all the time, but a lot of the time, don't have the time to go on to other shows because they're doing so many things on their own channel.
Right.
And sometimes they're not invited onto other shows because everyone looks at them and goes, "Oh, you got your own channel. Why would you want to come on mine?"
Exactly. Yeah.
So what's your comic all about? What's the name of it? All that good stuff.
For sure. Well, right now, this book right here is Butch Cleaver. I have Butch Cleaver 2. I'm actually working on a new book right now that'll probably be done in about a year, but I have 1 and 2 up if you want to back it on Indiegogo. It's a horror Western, if, to put it simple. It's about this butcher who gets killed, and he's brought back to life by a voodoo curse. And that curse gives him the power to weaponize bone on a molecular level. So he uses that power for, revenge, reckoning, and possibly redemption. In the first book, it pretty much just starts like well, I don't want to spoil too much, but he's brought back. There's this bounty hunter on his trail, and he's trying to figure out who took him out, and all the while trying to defend himself, learn his new powers. There's this guy named Moth Mammon that's training him on how to use his bone powers. In the second book, it's a deep dive into his origin. So I'm gonna show the whole how his parents came to America. This is in a parallel reality. Sorry, a little side thing. It's in a parallel reality in a town called Oubliette. I strictly wanted to make a town that had saloons, massive cathedrals, French quarters, stuff like that.
Nice.
And that's just because I like that type of stuff, and I wanted to draw.
Yeah, nice atmosphere.
Yeah, and I love pirates and banditos and cowboys, Vikings, and all that sounds goofy. They're all from different time periods, but I wanted it to have for it to kind of link up and have a way for that to happen. So that's the town that it takes place in. And again, in the second book, you're going to see his origin. Personally, in retrospect, if I could, I probably would have put that off another 30 years, like Wolverine, or and just kind of. But I kind of. The type of character he is, he's like an 80s slasher in this spaghetti hammer Western, So you really can't level with him. So I wanted people to level with him and kind of see why he is the way he is. So I put that in the second book. And a lot of us in the crowdfunding comics, I don't know how you put it, market. A lot of times we do the 52 pagers, you know what I mean? So I kind of wanted to put a lot of that, like a big juicy chunk of his origin into that, and you're like, oh, I can see where he's coming from, why he is the way he is, so this is what he does. And so maybe he's a good guy, maybe he's the victim, the villain, or the victor. So pardon me.
You always want to be careful with the origin stories too.
Yeah.
Right, not to ruin the mystique of it. I mean, you mentioned Wolverine, and it was one of those for me. I was like, oh, okay. I went into it, and then I was like, oh my Lord. Can I erase that from my memory? Yeah,
I'll never do it again. But for him, it was like, okay, because they're just gonna think he's, Michael Myers or Freddy. Forever. I could have him that way. You know what I mean? Because the town he's in, there's just so much evil there. So you either have to have like a definitive ray of light to balance the equation out with him, or he's got to be turning into something else, and there has to be something basically to even the scales. But how do I do that unless I show where his origin was? So that's why I did it that way. But for my next books, including the one I'm working on now, which is called Hell War, maybe I can come on someday and we'll talk about that. I'm not giving away the origin. Not for a while.
There you go. Little bits and pieces is kind of cool, but other than that, yeah. That sounds like it would be an awesome video game.
Yeah. I actually see it like kind of Grand Theft Auto or kind of Arkham City style,
Yeah, absolutely. Is that your first comic? Was it the first comic you ever made?
Yeah, actually, my first time I printed it was back in 2016. Then I basically compiled it all into one book, and then I put that out there with a new cover, and that was that one. And then the second one, that one I never put out in the market as a floppy. So that was 52 pages, and that's the origin one. So that would have been my second comic. But if we were to break them down, it would probably be like 8 single issues, something like that. So,
wow, man, jeez. Well, congrats to you, Johnny Slaction says, this is my third night in a row watching this show, and I'm really enjoying it. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much, Johnny. Appreciate that. Yeah, we've had some really good guests on lately. So we've got you on tonight. Last night we had Dan Lawless. The night before that was Andy Smith.
Yeah.
And then the week before that, because I took a little bit of an extended break because of the 4th of July holiday / my birthday, we had Aaron Lopresti. Thank you, man.
What are you, Cancer? You are, right?
Yeah, yes I am. And,
Yeah,
and
me
some
too.
people say I'm that way more than one. But screw those people. That's
You're
me.
kind of crabby, right? Yeah, my birthday's next week too, man.
Oh, that's great. What day?
Tuesday,
Tuesday.
7-11.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Man, oh man, very nice. Awesome. Yeah, it's always interesting to me, people within your birth month, and even the other day on the 6th, I believe, it was like John Byrne, Sylvester Stallone, Burt Ward, a couple other people as well. I was like, wow. I knew about Stallone. I never knew that John Byrne was a cancer, but I was like, that totally makes sense. And then
Yeah.
Burt Ward, it scared the crap out of me because when he was trending, I was like, no, not Burt Ward. And then
He's
he
got
was
a
like,
good
oh, it's
story.
his birthday. Good.
He's got a good story.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And, but yeah, that's great, man. Happy early birthday.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah. That's fantastic. And so on this show, I don't know if you've seen this before. I know you've seen this before, Matt, but you guys out there. On the second half of the show, we got about an hour long of a show. The second half of the show, I put a link in here. So if you guys want to come on the show and ask a question or have a comment for Matt, please feel free. But that'll be about at the half hour or so mark. We'll take a quick little break before that happens. We got about 7 or 8 minutes before that happens. So we touched upon your YouTube, your comic that you're making. Now, you mentioned the thing that you created, your YouTube channel with your 3 loves, metal, movies, and brewskys. Is that in order of favorite? Is that a hierarchy there?
Yeah, it is. I would have to say so. I mean, the comics would be at the top, but it's it doesn't metal movies and floppies. Maybe I could do that, but it's like but it's in my icon.
Now I'll put you on the spot. You put me sort of kind of on the spot when I was on your channel, but I was at your mercy then. Now the tables are turned.
Right.
Can you give me, and I won't say a favorite because that's like we'll be here all day. I think it's very difficult to nail a favorite of anything like a 1.
Yeah.
But can you give me 2 or 3 in terms of metal, movies, and brewskys?
Sure. Yeah. Metal. I love In Flames. I love Soilwork. Those are 2 of my favorite metal bands. Dark Tranquillity, At the Gates, Monomarth. I love a lot of the Swedish melodic death metal scene. Movies, that's easy. I got 3. They're all tied. That's RoboCop, Conan the Barbarian, and Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Oh wow!
And brewskys, I like Weihenstephaner Vitus. I also like Einstock's Wee Heavy, and for just like that's 2 right there. And then there's another one called Capper or Caper. It's a Polish beer, but I can't pronounce the brewery, so it's kind of hard.
Interesting. Now, if you could have a 4th, you said comics, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Can you give me 2 or 3 of those?
Yeah, sure. I love the Max. That one's one of my favorite. I really liked. I guess I could put Mad Magazine in there, but it's a cartoon.
Okay.
Comic,
Yeah,
so
I'll accept that.
Mad and Cracked, and it's kind of hard, man. I really like Lobo a lot, but again, that's a lot of like the Lobo's back trade paperback. 300, great. Sin City, A Dame to Kill For. I mean, I could just keep going on. There's so many. Yeah, man.
For your own work, could you pinpoint, and you don't have to just say comics, but can you pinpoint any influences that you had that have impacted your own work, your own comic book work? And it doesn't have to just be a comic or a comic creator.
Oh yeah, for sure. Big time Simon Bisley fan. He's been a big influence on me. Mike Mignola, Todd McFarlane, Eric Powell from the Goon. That was the one comic that I collected all the time. That's another one, the Goon. Like, there's just so many books, but I had always collected that book. I loved his the way he would render with pencil and colored pencil. He'd use the black colored pencil to do the outline, and I just love it. It's really, really punk and scratchy. Yeah, man. really loved like the Max. I was always drawing the Max growing up in junior high in class. That was like the one character I could always draw without looking at anything. But yeah, man, that's and Frank Miller, big time Frank Miller. Even so now, like Frank Miller's 300 specifically, my next comic book is going to be a square. So
oh yeah, the format
taking
of
inspiration to just telling the story rather in a rectangle. I'm sorry, in a square rather than a rectangle. It's kind of hard. So I'm always looking for like some BD or anything Americana. I mean, he's got Holy Terror, and then there's another book by Brian Haberlin. This one, like, I don't this big fully interactive book where you could scan and go into do different things. It was came out a few years ago, but just telling a story like that way, or square even, it's kind of tricky. So, heck yeah.
Oh, that's great, man. Yeah, it really is. Depending on how you change up the format, there's so many other possibilities or limitations to it.
Yeah,
so
totally.
You see some people that take the comic and instead of it being vertical in portrait style, it'll be like landscape. It'll either open calendar style or it'll open, the other way around. And there's so many different things you could do with it, but at the same time, again, you got to be careful with certain other things. Like you could have an amazing panoramic 2-page spread, even in that way. But then at the same time, you got to make sure you're pacing and everything else. It doesn't end up feeling comic strippy.
Yeah. It's hard.
Yeah. Well, that's cool that you're thinking of pushing the boundaries like that. I'm sure your backers and readers will appreciate it.
I have a little idea for the next book. Hopefully people will respond to it. It's kind of gimmicky, but I think it would be fun too. So,
did you want to talk about it at all?
Well, I could talk about the book. Let's just say it's called Hell War. It's like kind of like let's just say this Nordic metalhead in the 1990s. Because when I'm creating stories, I don't like putting them in present day. I don't like cell phones. I don't like seeing the texting I don't like seeing the text in the actual panels. It drives me nuts.
Yeah.
I'd rather see him picking up a phone and start yelling at somebody or something.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's inspired. Well, it's kind of inspired by Falling Down with Michael Douglas, Robert Duvall's character. It's his last day on the force, and all this crazy stuff happens. So my character is this bounty hunter that works for Hell Nora, which is the goddess of hell, and he's on his last day, and he's basically trying to free his brother from Helheim, and his brother's been down there for thousands of years. So you don't know who he is in Norse mythology, or if it even is, what he is, But he's in a metal band. He's a biker, and he has to take on this crazy Draugr biker motorcycle crew in the very beginning of the book in Death Valley, and it moves on into different realms, and it's going to be pretty epic. So that's some of it. And he basically
are you writing and drawing this too?
Yeah.
Wow, you're doing everything on it?
Yeah.
Wow, man. Whew.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. It would be a lot of. I mean, I'd love to have people come help me, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's true. But man, well, good on you, because there ain't no way in hell I'm doing the book by myself. That's for sure.
Yeah, it takes a long. I want it in color because I want to see the Rainbow Bridge, and I want to see the Northern Lights, and you're probably not gonna like this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I want it. It's like a cross between Lobo, the Incredible Hulk, and Thor. Okay, just so you can kind of go, all right, I got you. You know what I mean?
We're in conversation here, so it's okay to say that.
I'm not really
when you're pitching, when you're selling, that's when especially when you approach a publisher, the last thing you really want to approach a publisher with is like, all those other books. It's like all of those together.
Yeah, Yeah,
and then they come along with and just imagine how popular they all are. But if we take their whole fan base, and now ours will be even more popular. It's
just like for me, like I want to see him turn into a big hulking beast, and then I love the metal side of Lobo. You know what I mean? And then and then Thor. I love the whole Norse like angle with the I love Norse
the mythology,
and I love what Kirby did with it too. You know what I mean? On top of that, and I love what Simonson's doing with his Ragnarok. That's like my favorite still IDW book, a mainstream book that's on the shelves, or kind of so. Yeah,
it's funny because nowadays, and I don't know if you feel this way whatsoever. Feel free to disagree. Feel free to disagree with anything I say.
Oh yeah,
it makes a more interesting show.
Yeah, totally. Have some.
But
tussle.
I always feel as if it's difficult. The more I learn about history, especially ancient history, it's more and more difficult for me to use words like mythology. And the reason being is that sometimes I really wonder, is this mythology? Or is this just some kind of lost, ancient being or whatever kind of civilization that we're not aware of, or they've forsaken us and they left and they're like, screw this place, you guys are crazy, we're going to some other planet. I always am hesitant more and more now the more I learn, but before I was very willing and able to say these are stories, these are myths, this is just made up, and then looking at it in the context of a lot of things where you're talking about whether it's stories, whether it's religion, whether it's myth, legend, etc., there always seems like there's at least a little kernel of truth into all of it.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
it's like the more you dig, like you could find one character, let's say Thor or Odin, or you do more and more research, and there was probably a Thor or an Odin in a tribe in Indo-Europe.
Yeah, doing like some legendary stuff.
Yeah, like and we hear stories of people doing legendary stuff now. You know what I mean? So you put that there, and then each time you tell a story, and then you tell it to him, he tells it to her, it changes a bit. What's up, Richard?
Hey, man, thank you. But yeah, I'm always so hesitant to that nowadays. The more I've been doing so many more deep dives into history, and especially ancient history. And then with King Cryptid, I'm always kind of fact-checking things to see, because I like adding in that layer of historical fiction too. And I'm always going in there to see if I can work something in there that ties it to something that actually has occurred. And so as soon as I start doing that, it turns into going down the rabbit hole, and everything is fascinating, and you just learn more and more. Yeah, and then I find myself going, man, I don't know if I'm so comfortable anymore with the term mythology for a lot of this stuff. Like, I feel like what I'm doing is mythology because I feel at least like it's pure fiction. I don't know if I'm tapping into something out there or whatever it is. But when I'm looking at ancient cultures, you read about a lot of this stuff. It is so detailed.
Yeah.
So detailed.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Like I think about things like, oh, well, what about dragons? Like, well, maybe the dinosaurs weren't that far away. Maybe people had dragons. I mean, you see things in like Poland where there was theoretical dragon. Then you see down in Peru they had like paintings on the wall of people with giant lizards that they were riding on. Who's to say they didn't have wings? Then you have Gila monsters running around spitting acid at people. And that's just me like messing around, like just thinking real quick.
Yeah,
so,
everything's like a hop, skip, and a jump away.
Yeah.
From something that seems impossible.
Right? Yeah, totally. No, I do agree 100% on that.
All
man.
right, good. Because you could feel free to, and in the chat too, you could be like, Pete's crazy. They know.
Well, I mean,
most of them know how I am.
It's
at this
you
point,
and then a couple other cats that are like they're doing some books like this too. And I know another cat he's been working on a book for a few years. And one day he'll put it out. And he's doing some deep dives, on like Odin and Thor, and and I'm just like, ooh, that's like he's like an encyclopedic knowledge. Like for me, I have trouble remembering things sometimes, and this guy just, I mean, I'm like, what are you eating, that cod liver oil or what?
Right? So, yeah, getting those omega-3s.
Yeah, exactly. And so for me, I'm just looking for the mythological stuff as much as I want to rob from it. But this guy's like, no, there was a theoretical like Odin and Thor, like he was a chieftain, and I'm like, oh wow, isn't this part of Germany up at the tip, and and it's like, wow,
yeah,
crazy stuff.
Yeah, it really is. All right, so now that we've gone a little bit askew, it's a perfect time to take a quick break. We'll be gone in about a minute or two. We'll be back. You're watching Comic Book Radio. I am your host, Peter Cimetti. My guest tonight is Matt Burke from Metal Movies and BREWSKYS. While we're gone for a minute or two, it's a really good time to go into the description of the show and go find the link that's there for Matt's channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, go subscribe. We'll be back in just a minute. Do not go anywhere.
I find it difficult to get excited about it. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it's my natural cynicism or my pessimism,
tempered with a dash of pessimism.
I don't know, maybe I'm jaded at this point.
Perhaps.
The H2O Podcast, only on Sci-Fi For Me TV.
All right, and we're back. Welcome back to Comic Book Radio. This is episode 6 of Hosting the Hosts. My guest tonight is Matt Burke from Metal Movies and BREWSKYS, and that's She-Trailer. Crazy.
Right, all that talent.
Yeah, my lord.
Frank Frazetta at the end right there, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And hey, Midnight Mausoleum, what's up? Thank you for joining the show and saying hello tonight. And hey, Seer of All That Is Obvious, thank you for joining as well. Good to see you again. All right, so this is the part of the show where I put the link into the chat. So here we go. All right, so here is the link. If you guys want to join, please feel free. Don't be shy. Sometimes we get shy people here, but they're very nice still. Don't be scared. I know Matt is an intimidating fella, but don't be scared. All right, so right there's the link. Feel free to stop on in and say hello, give a question or comment to Matt. And hey, Yara, what's up? This is very cool. Good to see you, Seer of All That Is Obvious. All right, so talking a little bit more about, I'm going to get away from the mythology stuff. I'm going to go back talking about the YouTube stuff. Now, when you're setting all of this kind of stuff up and you're thinking to have guests on or approaching them or they approach you, how does that process normally work for you? So if someone wants to get on the channel, if they're watching the show and they want to get on your channel to talk to you about their book, how would they go about that?
Just shoot me a DM. Let me know and we'll set something up. I'm trying to set up, I think Thursday night is probably what I'm going to start doing. Probably going to be kind of like a late night show. So that's probably when I'm going to start doing it. I do a co-host a show with Brian Kreisgau, writer of Six Gun Gorilla. We've been doing that for about a little over a year now. It's called Horror Movie Club, and we pick a movie that's not behind a paywall, and he usually drops it lets people know about it on a tweet, and that way before the show, that way the viewers can watch it and we can all discuss it, and hopefully we don't like them, hopefully he likes it and I don't like it, and we can have a little something interesting to talk about. But a lot of times Brian has this encyclopedic knowledge of horror movies that I've not seen, because I'm more of a mainstream type of horror guy, Friday the 13th, all that basic pop horror movies. I came up watching that and I love, but he's got a lot of that stuff. So anyways, we do that show on Thursdays, and I'm probably gonna do my show after that show, a little bit of a late night show.
Great.
Probably 11 or something like that. So
very nice. Jeez, I didn't know you guys did that.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
So it seems like you're pretty approachable in terms of getting on your show. I know there's a lot of different people that operate in different kinds of ways. Do you ever reach out to people to have them on your show, or the majority of people coming on your show, are they approaching you?
Oh, it's both. Sometimes I'll reach out to people damn, I'd love to pick their brain this to see it, what they were thinking when they created that, or what's their process like, or they just seem like a cool person to hang out with for an hour. So then there's been people that have hit me up hey, I got a book launching in about a month, do you think I can come on? Let's try to set something up. So yeah, it's both. That's awesome.
Do they need to give you any advance notice in terms of when these things are going on to schedule something with you, or are you pretty, flying at the seat of your pants with the schedule?
It would be cool, maybe a little bit, maybe a few weeks out, would be awesome. That way I could kind of wrangle it together, but if not, I could try to squeeze something in, just because I might have booked somebody prior,
Yeah. All right, very nice. So don't be too scared if you're going to go on the Metal Movies and BREWSKYS show, everyone out there, in case you're considering. Again, I've got the link right here. You guys can join the show if you'd like. Come on in and say hello. Brian, what's up, Brian? Says, you mean you haven't seen Dead Snow, Dog Soldiers, and Black Sheep?
I've seen Soldiers.
Yeah, I've seen all three. They were great. Have you seen Dog Soldiers? You seen?
Dead Snow, that's the one with the Yahtzees, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that. I don't think I've seen Black Sheep, just the Chris Farley one.
Yeah, yeah. That one definitely is the first one that comes to mind. But yeah, the other one's good too.
Jackson movie, I think. Or,
what was that?
Yeah.
What did you say was
I thought Black Sheep might have been a Peter Jackson movie, but
Oh, yeah. I know there's oh man, is it Bad Taste?
Bad Taste, yeah.
There's that one.
He's
Yeah,
got a whole
then-
catalog that I got to watch because I
yeah.
really liked his Frighteners with Michael J. Fox.
Yep.
And I really liked I got Dead Alive. That was like his
Dead
Evil
Alive.
Dead, you know.
That's the other one.
I
I'm
like that
thinking
one a
of.
lot.
Yeah. He almost was like a mini trauma for a second
Right?
there.
Yeah.
Let's see. Forest Publishing says Matt's always willing to help out and support. Plus, he's around for just a good conversation, and I can attest to that. Absolutely true. AL says that this is going to be a tangent. Says I'm having trouble placing an order on the Alterna site. It's logging. Yeah, I think we're getting overwhelmed. Honestly, I can't even log into the back end of it. I haven't been able to do that since I last updated it, which was around 2:45 or so today. So, I mean, it's a great problem in terms of you guys are overwhelming the system.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I've honestly never seen that happen before with any of the campaigns we've launched on there and any of the times we've sold books or whatever in the past. You guys you're making that site work hard today. So don't worry, AL. If you're having problems today or whatever it is, if you want to go to Indiegogo, feel free. If you want to wait it out, check it out on the site tomorrow. And because of that, I'm going to extend the day one backer bonus. I know if Eric DeGuapo is out there, he's going to be pissed about that because he doesn't want the bonus that comes with it. So I'm going to extend that to day 2 because we're having so many problems. And before the show started, I tried to update it, and I was like, I'm spending 15 minutes. I'm getting the circle of death over here. So I'm going to announce that later on, and I'll send out a newsletter tonight about it too. I don't want anybody to worry and spend their whole night doing what I'm going to be doing, waiting for that site to work again so I can update it. But anyway, so you've got your YouTube, you've got your comic. What else? What's going on in the life of Matt Burke outside of YouTube, comics, metal movies, and BREWSKYS that is taking up your time? You have any other kinds of hobbies? Anything else going on? I'm guessing you've got a day job as well.
Yeah, I got a new day job, but it's kind of undercover.
Yeah, you don't need to deep dive into it. I just want to more understand what type of time you're dedicating to your comics and your YouTube.
So basically, YouTube. I try to do talk about a book once a week. I had a pretty good schedule like about a year ago, but this year I've done some switch ups. So, but yeah, normally I would try to do that, do a show with Brian and with the Horror Movie Club because that show is just fun, and then try to have somebody on too, man. Like I'll try to do like 3 things a week. Also, I've been trying to, again, if I'm working on my book, I'll work on that. I come home, try to work on my book after I put the kids to bed. I will try to put in 2 to 4 hours. And then sometimes you get a little burnt out on a specific book that you're working on. So right now I'm working on my book. I'm working on a special project with Brian now too. So we're going to be working on a book. That's going to be fun. And then that way you don't, it's like you're going back to the well of inspiration. You don't burn yourself out on one thing. For me, I was just like a one project guy. I just work on Butch Cleaver for 10 years, do every day. And I've tried different approaches. I've talked to people like, maybe you should work on a couple things, so now I've been doing that. Sometimes I'll do some fan art. Someone might want a commission. That's another thing I do. I love doing commissions or fan art, and that'll help me break away from that stuff. And that way I'm always working on drawing or writing or doing something like that. I'm always working on YouTube or comic book stuff when I'm not on my 9 to 5.
That's great. Yeah, that's awesome. And you do mention a good point about getting burnt out on that kind of stuff. And I've seen it happen a bunch to people who they kind of want to tell a certain story, and then that was the story they told, but they ended up kind of making it even more and turn it into something else, and then maybe they're drawing it out a little longer or whatever it may be, and then things happen in life, and then so it's good that you're able to kind of have all these different things that keep the gears turning, because
Yeah.
I feel like if you don't really have that kind of a thing, or your story isn't set up so that you can have the freedom to kind of, like, I love the ability that I can have in King Cryptid, that the issue's done and it's done, and
Right.
I go on to the next story and I tell the next plot and have new characters introduced and that kind of, so it always keeps it fresh for me. But there's people where the stories they're telling aren't necessarily more inclined to do that. And
Right.
you really do need something to kind of make you not feel like you're just doing the same thing over and
Yeah.
over, day in and
And-
day out.
And it's like, if say you got a buddy you want to do like a book with or something, you know what I mean? Like a lot of the time it's amazing what you could do. Just, you know, oh, I knocked out a page, like you know, I burned out on this, and then maybe on my stuff, and I work on something with like Brian or somebody else, and wow, I got like 5 pages done for this little side project we were doing. You know what I mean? Like fucking, sorry, forgive me. But it's just like, it's
That's
already
two. That's two,
Yeah, I know,
Matt Burke.
right? You're 3, you're out. And then you know, it's just out of nowhere. You already got more. You got more material. You know, and it's inspired too. It's not like forced material. You know what I mean? Like they're both again from the well of inspiration.
Yeah, and you might get an idea to work on your main project. You might get an idea all of a sudden come to you while you're working on something else, and bring in a new piece of the puzzle.
And it's fun too to like collaborate with people too. Like a lot of times it sucks to be in your own head all the time. Sometimes you got to get out and maybe work on something. You know.
Yeah,
with somebody else.
absolutely. And no problem, AL. AL says that she doesn't want to derail you, and you seem like an interesting guy. So there you go. And Matt is an interesting guy. There we go. Encourage everybody to go check out his channel and his book too.
Thanks.
Let's see. Brian says, I hear a lot of people have a world and lore binder, aka the book Bible. How do you organize your projects?
Me, well, it depends on the story, I guess, because I got probably about 10 different IPs, and probably 2 of them have like a lore Bible, but I don't have like a bestiary or anything like that. And also that kind of goes back to the fact that I wanted to that I'm going to leave some of that for later. That's going to be fun. You know what I mean? Like I get to go back and add all the little bells and whistles to that story, and it's not out there, but I have a name for certain characters and maybe like a land or something like that. But like say for Butch Cleaver, I have like, you know, 12 people with slight origins. You know, maybe I want to go maybe I want to get a buddy to write a one shot for that one character that I really like, you know, and we can do that together, or I want to do it. So I leave room to be more creative later on. I don't want to have everything done already. I want to have it loose, you know.
Yeah, this way you can kind of adapt to where the story's taking you too. Because do you find that at all when you're creating something and then you had sort of a plan for it, right? And then as you're actually creating it and finalizing or going towards the finalization of it, all of a sudden you're like, wow, you know, this would be a lot cooler if I did it like this.
Yeah, that happened to me like the first time. Like, well, I was drawing a page, like I was drawing something, and there's this page where I got my character Bert Hellwar, that's his name, and he's in Helheim, and his brother, I wanted to see him in his cell, you know what I mean? Because originally I just had him in the script where she's just like, bring him out, you know, bring out your brother, you know, you did what I'm going to give your brother back. But I wanted to see him in his cell, you know, sitting there like shackled up, like with the chains and everything. Like he's been there for 1,000 years. And so I had to draw that, and it wasn't in the script, you know? So that's another page that, you know, and then I give it to an editor and he tell me to take it out, but
no.
But that's part of that is what it is, you know. Like say if you're, you know, like when you're making a book, like, all right, I'm the penciler now, I'm the inker now, and then you have to be like firm, like with the word balloons and whatnot. Like, sorry, dude, I'm stepping on your toes now. Like if you're working, you're doing all this stuff, you know, you can't like fall in love with little spots in the pages for basically what I'm saying.
Yeah. That's why I kind of work very loosey-goosey when it comes to captions and lettering and whatnot. And what I mean by that is that I have a description for the scene that I give to the artist. I used to do a lot tighter scripts, you know, the panel and this and that and the direction of it. And this guy's saying this thing and then this one. Yeah. And you're kind of trying to visualize as much as you can. And then you give it to an artist, and the artist does mostly what the hell they want to do half the time, you know, because they're going to go in there and they're going to try to tell the story the best way they can tell it. And depending on what you're putting out, sometimes, you know, they need more or less panels or whatever it may be. So then you get the art back, and you're like, oh, wow, that I don't know where I'm going to fit that dialogue or that caption, because with what's going on in the art, it doesn't really make sense anymore with what was written before. So now I just kind of give the scene description to the artist, and I'm working with artists that I trust and I know that they're capable. and then I'll go in there afterwards when they give me the art, and we see the whole step by step. So there's this thumbnail, the pencils, this and that. So if there's any problems that are glaring, it's easy to fix. And then their art will actually even inspire me further, because I already have a loose idea of what's going to go on and what the conversation is going to be like. But there's no reason for me to bog the artist down with all the stupid crap that half of it's not probably going to even be on the page, and confuse them, because then they're going to start laying out the pages going, oh man, Pete's got this whole paragraph he wants this dumb character to say. I'm really going to have to draw this boring, dull page right now instead of something cool and dynamic. So instead, they'll do that with the art, and then I can go in there and make adjustments as necessary. And I think that's a big part of it. It keeps the comic feeling organic, and it keeps that flow with the art always being
the inspiration going too for you.
Absolutely,
on both sides, for you and the artist.
See, so Johnny asks, if you're writing and drawing, how do you approach writing a script?
For me, so what I do is I write the story. Then I type it. then I after I have that, I look at that. Then I go in and I type the script. Then I print it all out and I staple it, and I have it there. That's just bells and whistles. Or that's not the bells and whistles. That's really bare bones. I'm gonna go in there. I'm gonna change pages. I'm gonna write notes. I'm gonna change dialogue. But there's just certain words that I want said in the book, like phrases and little one-liners, and maybe like something poetic that needs to be said on the first page, or maybe on the last page, or something that, I don't know, I could take that out and, maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe I shouldn't open my book up with talking. That's pretty lame, So it's good to have it there. I also do the ending first. That way I know that there's a definitive end, and have that ready to go. And it's gonna, now I'm writing backwards, and at the same time I'm trying to just take things out, because I can just want to keep it going, So
that's great too. Yeah, when you're kind of reverse engineering your story.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fun sometime. When you have I want it to end this way. You get that flash of yes, that's the ending.
Yeah.
And you're like, let's piece it. It's like Memento.
Right.
Your own private Memento. With just as many of the little sticky notes everywhere too.
Oh man.
So I got to ask you one thing, because we got about 5 minutes left. Now, when you're having all these guests on your show, is there anyone that you'd like to have on your show that you haven't had a chance to have on your show?
Oof, let me think. I can't really think of anybody off the top of my head.
Anybody that's out there in terms of, I guess we'll stick to comics. But any creators that are out there that you're like, man, if I could get them on my show, that would be awesome. I'd love to have a conversation with them.
It's really hard to say, man. There's so many cool. I think Kyle Hotz, he'd be really cool. I really like, he's one of my favorite, I guess, modern artists. And Walter Simonson, I'd love to have him on. But they're
we're talking dream guests here for you, so you don't have to be too shy about it or anything if you want. I'll just clip this and show it to them later.
Right. I'm like a deer right now, because there's so many people too, that are just in our network, that I'd love to talk to too. I just love talking to people, man.
I hear you.
Picking the brains.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, good to know. So if anyone else has questions in the chat, please let us know. If you do want to hop in here, you got a couple of minutes. If you want to just say hi, bye real quick, it's up to you. I'm going to put the link one more time in here for you guys, so feel free to join. There it is. All right, so we got about 3 to 4 minutes left. Now, moving forward, what are your plans for your channel? You mentioned a couple different things, and that you were also getting out of kind of a hiatus.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've already started doing it, but I'm trying to do more YouTube shorts. They've been pretty fun. So what I've been doing is just, sometimes commissions or fan art where I just kind of show the process of how I do the piece. And, Simon Bisley would have been awesome, but he's kind of, you can't really, I don't think I could ever get him.
That's like putting a leash on a tiger right there.
Yeah. And I watch his Biz TV and but of course Bisley, he's I was going to say Frazetta and Bernie Wrightson, but
for one day that big YouTube channel in the sky.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, man. I'm sorry. What were you saying before that?
About a what's your plans for your show coming up?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I've just been doing shorts. I'm gonna have hopefully some more guests on this year, and doing the horror movie club. That's what I'm doing so far. Like that's the big thing this year. Hopefully, I could show some stuff too about some behind the scenes stuff for my book I'm working on now, Hell War 2.
Very
And
nice.
that stuff.
Good, man. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing it happen. So if you're out there and you're looking for someone to go on to a show, go get something booked with Matt. Just check out the channel in general. I always recommend before you start willy-nilly reaching out to people to be on their show that you actually watch their show. This way you know the kind of person they are, the conversation involved, all that kind of stuff. Although I know many people don't do things like that. And as a publisher, I definitely know there's a lot of people who send in submissions that I don't even think they know who they're sending it to. I can't tell you how many times it's like, Dear Image Comics,
Oh man, like that.
if this submission is for your consideration. And I'm like, oh, so it's not for us. I can just delete that. Good.
Oh man, that's funny.
Yeah.
Dude.
So put a little bit more effort, a little bit more time, and actually scope out some of these different channels, these people that are out there that are going to spend some time with you. And you want to give them that respect to check them out first, give them a subscription in terms of just click on the subscribe, and check out some videos and see what they're about. And I definitely give you my highest recommendation. I really enjoyed my time on Matt's channel. Again, that's Metal Movies and BREWSKYS. The link to subscribe to that channel is in the show. It's in the description of the show. And we're going to wrap it up here. So before we go, anything you want to say? Anything you want to shout out?
No, man. Thanks for having me on. Everybody, go back King Cryptid. Well, I would say 2, but it's not 2. It's the second campaign. Go get that. I got a review coming on that too. Spoilers. I really liked it, and I got one more book to read. I've been reading it with my kids, and they've been really digging it too. So.
Oh, awesome! How old are your kids?
I got a 9-year-old and I got a 3-year-old, and they're both digging it.
Beautiful. Look at that. I told you guys out there it's all ages appropriate. Even if it says young adult, it's still all ages appropriate.
Oh yeah, for sure. I just want to see. I want to see like a big signature King Cryptid toy. That'd be cool.
Oh, that would
big,
be amazing.
You know what I mean? Like the big Marvel signature Hulk size ones.
Oh man, that's one of those like
heavy one you can just throw and like just
talk about dreams and whatnot. That would be cool. Even like a King Cryptid, one of those wrestling buddies.
Yeah, the Slam Buddies.
Yeah,
that'd be dope.
That'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
All right, man, oh man. Okay, so thank you so much, Matt, for coming on here tonight. Everybody in the chat, thank you guys as well. AL says, thanks for the stream and nice meeting, Matt. Jeff says, the Horror Movie Club sounds cool. We'll check that out. There you go.
Thursdays.
And Brian says, I was not subscribed. Fix that. Look forward to seeing more of you, Matt. There you go.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Good
Appreciate
stuff.
it.
And that's it for me on this end. I'm going to be back on this channel, the Publish and Pete channel, tomorrow at 2 o'clock Eastern for part 2 of the King Cryptid launch party. We did part 1 today on the Alterna channel, and there's so much on this campaign. There was no way I was going to sit there for 4 hours. I have a show tonight. I'm going to do another show tomorrow night with Kelsey Shannon on this channel as well. But it's going to be, it's like a double header weekend.
I got to interview him too. He'd be fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's going to be fun. And so tomorrow, again, 2 o'clock Eastern on this channel for part 2 of the King Cryptid campaign, going over a couple things I did not go over today, showing you guys a couple glimpses into some cool stuff as well. And then also tomorrow night at 9 o'clock Eastern, I'm going to have Kelsey Shannon on the channel, so make sure to stay tuned for that. That should be a fun show. Everybody, take care, take it easy, and I will see you tomorrow night. Matt, again, thank you so much, my friend, and
Thanks,
I'm
Pete.
looking forward to spending a little more time with you in the near future, too.
Oh, for sure.
All right, everybody have a great night.
Night, everybody.